You need to find a library for your project and you don't know where to start. Well, I got you covered. Let's jump into some of the things that you need to take into consideration when evaluating libraries. First of all, does it do what you need it to do? Does it fulfill the need? Does it fill a gap that you have in your project? Once you have a list of those libraries that are available, now it gets into how do you evaluate them against each other? How do you compare them to each other? What's going to make one library stand out from the rest of them? Well, there's a couple questions you should be asking yourself when you're evaluating these libraries. First of all, is it widely used? Is it popular? That means you want to know if it's getting actively downloaded on a weekly basis. What do those numbers look like? Is it being used by quite a bit of projects? It's going to give you an idea whether it's an influential project. Is it something that's kind of leading the way in that regard for whatever that need is that's being fulfilled by it? The second question you should ask yourself is it actively being maintained? Is it got a healthy level of contributions going on to it on a periodic basis on some type of frequency that seems at least somewhat recent? That might be different for everybody, so you need to determine what that time frame is or the criteria on the specifics of that time frame is for you. Last but not least, the next question you should be asking yourself is it safe to use? Are there known vulnerabilities in the open source dependencies that library has in itself, or in its own dependencies, or its child dependencies all the way down the parent-child tree? Those are the things you need to take in consideration and ask yourself when you're evaluating these libraries against each other or just in general. It might sound very cumbersome to you, right? It might sound overwhelming and it might sound very manual and time-consuming to do. However, there is a solution to help speed that up and make your life easier when it comes to evaluating libraries based on this criteria, and that is Snyk Advisor. Snyk Advisor is a service provided by Snyk that allows you to search for various libraries and packages for all different programming languages and ecosystems. Right now, it offers NPM, Python, Go, and Docker. One in particular that we're going to take a look at right now is NPM for Node.js and JavaScript projects. Okay, so to get to Snyk, you're going to go to snyk.io/advisor. Here is the main page for Snyk Advisor, but in particular, you want to look at either in the top panel here or this little search package area as well. I generally start right here, and then I search for the package I want. So continuing with the example we've been talking about throughout this video, let's look for something that does date-time math. And here we can see the search results for that search query that I provided to Snyk Advisor, letting me know of all the different NPM packages that have some type of match against my search results. So I can see right off the bat, like this first one is published 8 years ago, probably, and is not like a full release. All these looking kind of old. Time Zone Complete is a little bit more recent. Expressions, but that doesn't look like it might be what I want. Moment Date Math and Date Dash. What's this about? So when I start looking at something like this, right off the bat, Snyk Advisor gives me a health score, a package health score card in the top right-hand corner here. And that is evaluated based on those 4 areas of criteria that we were talking about before: the popularity, the maintenance of it, the security, and the community around it. And it gives you different kind of labels related to those criteria. And we can see the overall score is at 53 out of 100, so not really so great. It's indicated that way through that more maroonish reddish color as well. And we can go more into the specifics, scrolling down the page to look at why the popularity rating is maybe so low or listed as limited right now. In this case, it's because of the weekly downloads. There aren't really a whole lot of weekly downloads. There's only 2 contributors, 2 dependents upon this project. On the right-hand side, you can see the maintenance of it, which tells you the more recent commit frequency and activity across the past year or so, it looks like. And the last commit was 9 months ago. Going down further, we can look at the security. We can see in the particular version of 1.054, it has a high rating, high severity issue in an indirect vulnerability versus a direct vulnerability. What that means is a dependency that it directly relies upon and defines in its package JSON versus one that comes into the project via the dependency of those dependencies, if you will. On the right-hand side, we can see more about the community, which defines whether there's a README, a contributing doc, a code of conduct, how many contributors there are, and whether there's funding or not for that particular project. And you can read more information about it. See the README directly here without actually having to go to the repository of the project. So in any case, this kind of looks like something I would want, but I'm not really particularly confident in this score of 53 out of 100. So I'm going to keep searching for like date time. Let's see, maybe a different search query. Okay, so now I can see some more packages that might be a little bit better, that have a little bit higher health score. And this day.js looks pretty appealing. Let's take a look at that. So what does this do? It is a 2 KB immutable date time library alternative to Moment.js with the same modern API. So that sounds cool and promising. It has a really good package health score of 88 out of 100. It's fairly popular with key ecosystem projects. Lots of projects depending upon this. Lots of stars and forks and 280 contributors. It's rated as a top 5% dependent popularity project as well. So things are looking good in that regard. And right off the, just the top here, skimming this, I can see that this might be something worthwhile to check out. And I can even see similar packages. I forgot to mention this earlier. There's Moment, which Moment has been deprecated at this point, I think, or is going to be deprecated. There's DateFNS, which is another library, and Luxon. I can start exploring more packages that attempt to solve the same problem that I'm looking to solve. And the good thing about this day.js here is there are no security vulnerabilities that have been reported, both in the direct vulnerabilities and the indirect vulnerabilities. So there you have it, folks. Some tips and tricks on how to go about finding and evaluating open source libraries for your project, and how Snyk Advisor can help you accelerate that process and find the right project as quickly as possible. I hope you find that helpful, and happy coding, everybody.